A Halloween party, a call to the police for help, an alleged unconnected axe attack in the area, and no body ever recovered. So what really happened to Shaun Ritchie? Welcome to Vanished Voices UK, your new favourite spot for curious missing persons cases, true crime stories, and in-depth investigations. Killed over a drug debt? The mysterious disappearance of Shaun Ritchie. On the evening of Friday the 31st of October 2014, 20-year-old Shaun Ritchie left his home in Fraserburgh with 7 friends for a Halloween gathering at a remote farmhouse in the Green Burn area near Strichen, Aberdeenshire. Earlier that night, CCTV captured him making a quick stop at a convenience store, but his final confirmed sighting came when he was seen running from the farmhouse into adjoining woodland. In the hours that followed, 2 emergency calls were placed from the Green Burn vicinity, one requesting police attendance at the farm, the other cancelling that request. By the 3rd of November, Police Scotland had launched one of its largest missing person inquiries, deploying a police helicopter, mountain rescue teams, dive units, and a specialist search dog team. More than a decade later, his fate remains unknown. Police Scotland has stated that there is no evidence to suggest that Shaun has become the victim of any crime, yet inquiries continue, and the case endures as one of Scotland's most haunting unsolved mysteries. Shaun Ritchie was born on the 16th of May 1994 and grew up in the coastal town of Fraserburgh in Aberdeenshire, Scotland. He was the only son of Charlie Reid and Caroline Ritchie and had one sister, Nicole. Described by those who knew him as a typical local youth, Shaun's life revolved around his close-knit family and his circle of friends in Fraserburgh. In the weeks after Shaun vanished, his father became one of the case's most vocal proponents, publicly stating, "I believe my son was killed over a debt." He offered £5,000 in a reward for information leading to his whereabouts. Shaun's mother and sister share his father's conviction that foul play was involved. Both Caroline and Nicole have regularly issued appeals for information, refusing to let police maintain the inquiry as a purely missing person case. As mentioned previously, no definitive motive or suspect has ever been publicly confirmed, but the steadfast unity of Shaun's family has kept the investigation in the spotlight, despite more than a decade of unanswered questions. On the evening of the 31st of October, Shaun leaves his home on Watermill Road in Fraserburgh and was captured on CCTV stopping at a local convenience store to buy provisions for that night. Later that evening, Shaun and 7 of his friends travelled by van to a Halloween party at a remote farmhouse in the Greenburn area near Strichen, Aberdeenshire. The friends allegedly split into 2 groups after a disagreement, and, each believing Shaun was with the other group, returned home without him. Despite extensive interviews, none of the friends have given public statements about that night. Police have confirmed that they cooperated fully, and there was no evidence of anyone withholding information. Shortly after midnight on the 1st of November, 2 999 calls originate from Greenburn. The first requests police attendance at the farmhouse, the second cancels that request, and the caller remains unidentified. On the evening of the 2nd of November, Police Scotland receives the first missing person report for Shaun from his family in Fraserburgh. Between the 3rd and 5th of November, ground, air and water searches kick off immediately. Mountain rescue teams, dive units, forensic soil scientists and specialist search dogs are deployed across woodland, bog and watercourses around Greenburn, making this one of Police Scotland's largest ever search operations. On the 7th of November, BBC News reports the recovery of items recovered by the search team. They locate a pair of trainers, a hooded top and a belt in boggy ground near the farmhouse, but notes there is still no trace of Shaun himself. As mentioned previously, on the 23rd of April, Shaun's father Charlie Reid publicly offers a £5,000 reward for information that leads to his son's whereabouts. On the 30th of June 2015, Charlie, Shaun's dad, enlists canine search and recovery dogs. Despite expert tracking, no new scent trails are established. On the 17th of July 2015, Grampian Online reported that officers leading the inquiry have been assisted by specialists Professor Lorna Dawson, Head of Forensic Soil Science at the James Hutton Institute in Aberdeen, and Dr. Alastair Ruffle, a forensic geoscientist. Professor Dawson and Dr. Ruffle carried out ground searches using a number of methods, including the use of ground-penetrating radar and electromagnetics. In 2017, Shaun's mother Carol Ritchie appears in court, charged with wasting police time after sending anonymous texts claiming her son had been murdered. Those charges are later dropped. On the 4th anniversary in October 2018, Sister Nicole Shand issues a fresh appeal urging anyone with information, even seemingly insignificant, to please come forward. On the 31st of October 2019, Police Scotland reiterate the inquiry's status as a missing person case, stating there is no evidence to suggest that Shaun has been the victim of a crime. The current status of the investigation is that the Major Investigation Team and National Crime Agency periodically review forensic and search operation records. No arrests or formal suspects have ever been named. In 2021, Dr. Alastair Ruffle, a forensic geoscientist who was part of the investigation before, suggested the use of more advanced technologies such as sonar drones to assist in the search for Shaun. Despite these recommendations, there has been no indication that such technologies have been employed in the search efforts. These are the hard facts of the investigation to date: extensive searches, recovered clothing, family appeals, but no definitive answers and no suspects brought to justice. From the day Shaun vanished, his family has refused to let the case go cold. Charlie Reid, Shaun's father, has been the most persistent voice, offering the reward for anyone who can help him find his son. He's appeared in many interviews and public appeals, as well as putting up posters trying to prick the conscience of those who know what happened to his son. He has publicly questioned why the police have failed to make any arrests and called for more action. Carol Ann, Shaun's mother, has joined Shaun's father in making regular media appeals. In April 2015, she told the Press and Journal, "Someone called the police for help the night my son vanished," underlining her belief that there is more to this story than a simple disappearance. On the 4th anniversary of Shaun's disappearance, his sister Nicole described how hard the time has been since Shaun vanished and renewed her appeal. She said, "We're trying to come to terms with the fact that it has actually been so long. I can't believe it has been 4 years and we've got nothing. A fresh appeal would maybe help keep him in the public eye. He's not home with his family where he needs to be. We just want closure, really." As mentioned previously, it's quite obvious that the family collectively believe foul play was involved, and from the multitude of strange facts, including the calls to emergency services, the disagreement, the clothing, and the absence of a body, it's hard to argue with that belief. On the 30th of May 2015, the Press and Journal released a short film retracing Shaun's final steps, featuring interviews with local officers and family members aiming to renew public interest. In October 2021, a documentary was released named Missing from the Broch: The Disappearance of Shaun Ritchie. This documentary, produced jointly by the Press and Journal and Evening Press, features interviews with Police Scotland officers and forensic experts. It includes family testimonies about their ongoing search for answers, and it was first to discuss an incident involving an axe. The documentary revealed an axe attack allegedly took place on the same night at the same location. However, police say this was not linked to Shaun's disappearance. It doesn't appear that anyone was actually struck with the axe. It was alleged that Neil Robertson, the driver of the van that had taken Shaun and others to the farm, was charged with assault. The charge alleged that he attempted to strike another person with the axe at the farm that same night. In 2017, Robertson appeared at Peterhead Sheriff Court. He was found not guilty of the charge. According to Detective Inspector Martin McDougall, witness statements indicated that Shaun had already fled the area before the axe incident occurred. Based on those accounts, police concluded that the alleged assault was not connected to Shaun's disappearance. Over the years, several theories have been put forward to explain Shaun Ritchie's disappearance. Next, we examine each in turn, grounding our analysis in the known facts, official statements, and commentary from family, experts, and the media. Could Shaun have succumbed to the elements, becoming disorientated in the dark, wet woodland or bog, and died of hypothermia or accidental injury? He was last seen running into dense undergrowth on Halloween night, and the temperature, although high for that time of year in the UK, would still have been too low for extended exposure. Search teams recovered his belt, trainers, and hooded top from boggy ground 5 days later, but no body or bones were found despite air, land and water searches, specialist dogs, and forensic soil analysis. In cases of exposed hypothermia, it would be expected that a body is located by dive units or dog teams. The absence of remains despite exhaustive searches makes pure misadventure less likely. The next theory looks at whether Shaun was murdered by individuals over an unpaid debt. Shaun's father, Charlie Reid, has consistently stated that he believes his son was killed over a debt, and in October 2016 described his conviction that someone deliberately concealed Shaun's body. His mother and sister share this belief, urging people to treat this case as a homicide rather than a missing person inquiry. The cancellation of the 999 call that night suggests there was something serious enough for someone to call the police. This is potentially indicative of third-party involvement. The targeted recovery of only clothing items neatly separated from the body could align with a deliberate concealment scenario. Are the police quietly treating the case as a homicide without a body? In October 2019, Police Scotland publicly maintained that there was no evidence to suggest that Shaun had been a victim of a crime. Renowned forensic scientist Professor Dave Barclay of Robert Gordon University commented, "The most likely option, considering all the effort they have put in to find the body, it could be an offence of violence where somebody has deliberately concealed him. The police seem to be treating it as a no-body murder." Barclay's assessment seems to carry weight. Extensive forensic work typically signals that the police believe there may have been foul play, even if publicly downplayed. The recent case of missing man Cole Cooper seems to show that the police do not want to publicly discuss issues pointing to foul play. Cole Cooper's mother is convinced that something nefarious happened to her son, but is finding it extremely hard to get answers from the authorities. Did the violent incident at the farmhouse party lead to Shaun's disappearance? As we've already discussed, in the 2021 documentary Missing from the Broch, it was revealed that an axe attack allegedly took place at the farm on the night that he went missing. However, Police Scotland told the filmmakers that they did not believe this incident was linked to Shaun's disappearance, and maintained that they do not believe any criminality was involved. The farmhouse disturbance could explain why Shaun fled into the woods, but the police denial of linkage suggests investigators found no evidence tying that event to Shaun specifically. It would make sense if he fled the area because of someone wielding an axe, but again, it has been stated that Shaun had already run off by this point. Could the axe-wielding driver of the van have been standing up to people who wanted to harm Shaun? Or could Shaun have been the intended target? Or finally, could Shaun have left voluntarily? Perhaps due to debt or to start anew, and remains alive somewhere undisclosed. Shaun left his phone at home that night, and there's been no reports of him using his bank account or social media accounts. His close-knit family, the reward offers and media appeals have produced no verifiable tip-offs suggesting any voluntary exit. And surely he wouldn't leave his clothing behind if leaving with nothing else. In modern missing person cases, deliberate disappearances almost invariably leave some paper trail. The complete information blackout here makes voluntary flight highly improbable. Each theory carries its own strengths and weaknesses when measured against the hard facts. While accidental misadventure cannot fully account for the missing remains, and voluntary disappearance flies in the face of total silence, the weight of evidence and expert opinion increasingly point toward foul play. Yet with no suspect ever charged, Shaun's case remains agonisingly open. Despite exhaustive searches and repeated appeals, key questions about Shaun Ritchie's disappearance remain unanswered. Below are some of the central mysteries that continue to drive this case forward. Who placed and then cancelled the 999 call from the Greenburn area that night, and why? These calls, one requesting police attendance at the farmhouse and the second cancelling that request, have never been traced to a caller. According to various reports, the call handlers did not identify any suspicious indicators, meaning there was no trace of the number initiated and the police were not dispatched. What exactly occurred inside and around the farmhouse in the minutes before Shaun fled into the woods? Witnesses mention a disturbance and even the aforementioned alleged axe attack, yet Police Scotland stated they do not believe any criminality was involved. Why were only a belt, trainers and a hooded top recovered, and no other personal effects or remains, despite air, land and water searches, specialist dogs and forensic soil analysis being carried out? 5 days after Shaun vanished, search teams located these items in boggy ground, but no body or bones have ever been found. Could the placement of the clothing have been an attempt to mislead the police or the search dogs? Were all available phone and bank records fully examined? Shaun's mother said in a 2015 Press and Journal feature that Shaun had left his phone at home on the night he disappeared, but that doesn't mean there wasn't anything useful on there. Police maintain there is no evidence to suggest Shaun has been the victim of a crime, but have not publicly detailed the scope of their digital forensic review. What role did Shaun's friends play in what happened after the final sighting? And were all witness interviews re-examined in later investigations? No arrests or formal suspects have ever been named, and the exact sequence of events among the group later that night remains unclear. However, I do want to make it clear that there's absolutely no hard evidence to suggest they did anything to him or were involved in any way. If Shaun is dead, which sadly seems very likely now, where is his body? And how might it have been concealed so effectively that neither dive units nor cadaver dogs have located it? Forensic expert Professor Dave Barclay noted that such extensive searches typically indicate a belief in foul play and deliberate concealment, yet no trace beyond clothing has surfaced. These unanswered questions, rooted in established facts and expert commentary, form the heart of the search for truth. Until these questions and many others are answered, Shaun Ritchie's fate will remain one of Scotland's most haunting mysteries. If you have any information, no matter how small or insignificant it may seem, please come forward. Every detail could be the key to finding Shaun. You can contact Police Scotland on 101, quoting Shaun Ritchie missing person inquiry. In an emergency, always call 999. Contact Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111. This is anonymous and 24 hours. Or contact missing people on the free phone number 116 000, or visit the Missing People website at missingpeople.org.uk. Please share this video with anyone who might have been in the Strichen area on Halloween 2014. Your call could finally bring answers and justice for Shaun and his family. More than 10 years have now passed since 20-year-old Shaun Ritchie vanished into the woods near Strichen on Halloween night 2014. Despite one of the largest missing person searches in Scottish history, only a few items of clothing have ever been recovered, and Shaun himself remains missing. Police Scotland continues to treat Shaun's case as a missing person inquiry, yet the persistence of his family, the strength of expert opinion, and the disturbing gaps in the investigation suggest that crucial answers still lie undiscovered. Only with fresh information from anyone who was at the farm on that night, or who heard or saw something, can we hope to finally bring Shaun home. If you think you can help, please reach out to Police Scotland, Crime Stoppers or Missing People. Shaun's story deserves answers, and his family deserves closure. As always, thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay vigilant, and remember, every missing person deserves to be found. Like, comment and subscribe to see more new and cold missing persons cases from the UK.